When Miguel Santos became Beverly Hills' most trusted landscaper, wealthy clients gave him access to their estates and security codes. But when his methamphetamine addiction and human trafficking schemes consumed him, he began burying bodies in gardens and murdering witnesses who discovered his crimes, turning beautiful landscapes into deadly graveyards. Before starting the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Now let's get back to the video. The California sun blazed down on Beverly Hills' manicured estates as Miguel Santos loaded his landscaping truck with gardening tools and irrigation equipment for what would become the most dangerous landscape maintenance job of his 17-year career as Southern California's most experienced landscaper and estate groundskeeper. At 43 years old, Miguel had established himself as Beverly Hills' premier landscape designer, specializing in luxury estate maintenance and exotic plant installations that attracted wealthy celebrities, business executives, and international investors who valued his expertise in creating stunning outdoor spaces and his reputation for maintaining absolute discretion about his clients' private properties and personal activities. Miguel's landscaping business operated from a sprawling nursery facility in the San Fernando Valley, featuring rare plant collections, professional-grade landscaping equipment, and specialized irrigation systems for handling the complex groundskeeping challenges common in Southern California's arid climate and luxury residential developments. His clientele included entertainment industry professionals whose estates required year-round perfection for hosting private events, tech entrepreneurs whose smart home landscapes demanded integrated technology solutions, and foreign investors whose properties needed maintenance during extended international absences. The interior of Miguel's nursery reflected his mastery of landscape design and his understanding of wealthy clients' expectations for both aesthetic excellence and property security, featuring walls lined with landscape architecture awards, photographs of completed luxury installations, and testimonials from grateful clients whose property values had increased significantly through his innovative garden designs and meticulous maintenance services. His landscaping trucks contained professional equipment, premium plant materials, and client access documentation that emphasized his trusted status among Beverly Hills' most exclusive residential properties. But beneath Miguel's reputation for landscape excellence lay a dangerous combination of methamphetamine addiction, human trafficking operations, and systematic murder that had transformed his garden maintenance into criminal enterprises where threatening clients and suspicious investigators met their fate through burial in custom landscapes and disposal in irrigation systems. "Good morning, Miguel," said Victoria Ashford, his 9 o'clock appointment, and a 61-year-old pharmaceutical heiress whose 15-acre estate required comprehensive landscape maintenance, including exotic plant care and security garden design that Miguel had been managing for over 3 years. Victoria had recently noticed disturbing odors and unusual soil conditions in remote areas of her property, and had begun questioning Miguel's explanations about fertilizer applications and irrigation system modifications. "Good morning, Mrs. Ashford," Miguel replied with the horticultural expertise and estate management authority that had made him legendary among Beverly Hills' wealthy property owners who viewed him as both landscape artist and property guardian, capable of maintaining perfect outdoor environments while ensuring absolute privacy and security during their residential activities. "I've prepared the new plantings for the South Garden expansion, and today I'll be installing the irrigation systems that will ensure your rare orchid collection receives the precise moisture control required for optimal flowering." Victoria had become Miguel's most dangerous client, not because of her demanding landscape requirements or her estate's complexity, but because of her recent discovery of suspicious activities in remote garden areas and her growing awareness of the human trafficking and disposal operation that Miguel had been conducting while supposedly providing legitimate landscape maintenance services. What Victoria didn't know was that Miguel had been systematically trafficking humans and murdering witnesses for over 4 years, using his landscape expertise and access to private estates to dispose of bodies while coordinating trafficking operations that exploited undocumented workers and eliminated anyone who discovered his criminal activities. Miguel's transformation from skilled landscaper to calculating killer had begun 6 years earlier, when his methamphetamine addiction had escalated from occasional recreational use to daily dependency that consumed his landscaping business profits and forced him into dangerous relationships with organized crime figures who controlled Los Angeles's drug distribution networks and human trafficking operations. His addiction had grown to cost over $500 per day, while his access to isolated estate properties and underground irrigation systems had provided perfect opportunities for body disposal and trafficking coordination. Faced with increasing pressure from drug suppliers and potential exposure by suspicious clients, Miguel had been recruited by international trafficking organizations who recognized his landscape expertise and estate access as valuable assets for disposing of murder victims and coordinating the movement of trafficked individuals through private properties where law enforcement had limited access and wealthy owners prioritized privacy over investigation. His criminal activities had escalated when several clients had discovered evidence of suspicious activities in their gardens and had threatened to report their concerns to law enforcement agencies investigating human trafficking patterns in affluent Southern California communities. Miguel had murdered his first victim, a wealthy businessman who had found human remains while inspecting irrigation work, by poisoning his coffee with concentrated pesticide during what appeared to be a routine landscape consultation. The success of his first murder had convinced Miguel that eliminating suspicious clients and threatening investigators was both necessary for protecting his trafficking operation and relatively easy to accomplish, given his access to toxic landscape chemicals and isolated disposal sites throughout Beverly Hills' most exclusive estates. Over the following 4 years, Miguel had murdered 14 additional individuals using various methods that took advantage of his landscape knowledge, his access to estate properties during vulnerable maintenance periods, and his ability to dispose of evidence through sophisticated burial techniques and chemical dissolution methods that utilized professional landscaping equipment and irrigation systems. His victims had been carefully selected based on their discovery of his criminal activities, their potential cooperation with authorities, and their estate security arrangements that provided opportunities for witness elimination and evidence disposal. His victims had included Dr. Patricia Williams, a forensic botanist who had discovered human remains in soil samples and whose garden inspection had resulted in fatal exposure to concentrated herbicide; Jennifer Martinez, a wealthy socialite who had reported suspicious landscaping activities and whose death had been staged as accidental drowning in a decorative pond that Miguel had rigged with electrical systems; and David Foster, a federal immigration agent who had been tracking trafficking routes and whose estate security consultation had ended in fatal poisoning from modified irrigation chemicals. "Miguel, I need to discuss some serious concerns about missing persons and reports of trafficking activities connected to your landscaping services," said Detective Sarah Rodriguez of the Beverly Hills Police Department's Major Crimes Division, as she arrived at Victoria's estate, carrying federal warrants to inspect Miguel's equipment and interview him about suspicious activities. Detective Rodriguez specialized in investigating human trafficking and had developed expertise in recognizing patterns of trafficking operations that exploited legitimate service businesses and wealthy clients' privacy expectations. Detective Rodriguez's investigation represented an existential threat to Miguel's criminal operation, as her law enforcement expertise and access to trafficking databases could expose the systematic disposal operations and connect him to multiple missing persons cases and suspicious deaths among wealthy estate owners. D'Ivoire. "Of course, Detective Rodriguez," Miguel replied, though he felt the familiar surge of methamphetamine-induced paranoia and criminal desperation that accompanied any official scrutiny of his landscaping operations by law enforcement officers who possessed the training and resources to detect evidence of human trafficking and systematic murder disguised as landscape accidents or natural deaths. "Client privacy and property security are always my highest priorities, and I want to cooperate with any investigation that might help protect residents and ensure that landscaping services operate according to all applicable safety and legal standards." Detective Rodriguez consulted detailed reports from missing persons investigations and forensic analysis teams that showed patterns of disappearances and suspicious activities that suggested systematic trafficking and disposal operations rather than random disappearances or legitimate landscaping accidents involving estate maintenance. Miguel, I've been investigating reports of missing persons and suspicious activities that appear to be connected to estates where you've provided landscaping services, Detective Rodriguez said with the investigative precision that had made her successful in solving complex trafficking cases. 14 individuals who were either clients of your landscaping business or workers on your crews have disappeared or died under suspicious circumstances, with several of these incidents occurring after the victims had expressed concerns about inappropriate activities or had threatened to report suspicious behavior during your landscape maintenance work. The detective's identification of the trafficking patterns and her recognition of the timing correlation between witness concerns and disappearances confirmed Miguel's worst fears that his criminal activities had been analyzed and connected to his systematic elimination of suspicious clients and disposal of trafficking victims through landscape operations. Miguel's response was swift and deadly, as he realized that eliminating Detective Rodriguez was essential for protecting his criminal enterprise and preventing exposure of his systematic trafficking and murder operations. Detective Rodriguez, I think there may be some misunderstanding about the challenges of landscape maintenance and the unfortunate reality that estate workers sometimes face personal problems that have nothing to do with professional landscaping services, Miguel said, while discreetly reaching for a modified fertilizer sprayer that he had weaponized to deliver concentrated methamphetamine solution through high-pressure injection for emergency elimination of law enforcement threats. Perhaps we could discuss these concerns in the garden area where I can demonstrate the maintenance procedures that might explain these apparent coincidences. Estate landscaping involves complex chemical applications that might appear suspicious to those unfamiliar with professional horticulture and irrigation system management. Detective Rodriguez agreed to examine Miguel's landscaping procedures, not realizing that the landscaper was leading her to a remote garden area where previous murders had been committed and where Miguel planned to poison her using his weaponized sprayer that would deliver toxic methamphetamine directly into her bloodstream through what would appear to be accidental exposure to landscape chemicals. Miguel's plan involved convincing Detective Rodriguez to examine specific irrigation installations while explaining landscape procedures, then using his modified sprayer to inject fatal doses of methamphetamine that would cause cardiac arrest while appearing to be accidental chemical exposure rather than deliberate murder by a landscaper protecting his trafficking operations. But Miguel's carefully planned murder of the detective was about to be prevented by the unexpected arrival of federal agents who had been investigating human trafficking networks and had identified connections to his landscaping business. Special Agent Michael Torres of the FBI's Human Trafficking Division had been conducting a comprehensive investigation into organized trafficking operations that exploited legitimate landscaping services to dispose of victims and coordinate the movement of trafficked individuals through private properties where wealthy clients prioritized privacy over law enforcement access. Agent Torres specialized in investigating trafficking networks and had developed expertise in tracking criminal landscaping operations that were used to facilitate human disposal and witness elimination. The federal investigation had been initiated by reports from multiple international law enforcement agencies and immigration services who had noticed patterns of missing persons and suspicious landscaping activities that suggested organized trafficking networks were using estate maintenance services to dispose of victims while eliminating potential witnesses to their criminal activities. Agent Torres had been conducting surveillance of Miguel's trafficking coordination activities and had documented evidence of systematic human disposal, victim elimination, and coordination with international trafficking organizations that suggested his landscaping expertise was being used for organized criminal activity rather than legitimate estate maintenance services. Miguel Santos, I'm Special Agent Torres with the FBI, he announced as he approached the remote garden area where Miguel was preparing to murder Detective Rodriguez. I have federal warrants for your arrest on charges of human trafficking, systematic disposal of human remains, conspiracy to commit murder, and multiple counts of first-degree murder related to your systematic exploitation of landscaping services for criminal trafficking operations and elimination of potential witnesses. Miguel's reaction to the federal agent's intervention was a combination of landscaping authority confusion and desperate attempts to maintain his horticultural credibility. As he realized that law enforcement agencies at multiple levels had been investigating his trafficking activities and had connected them to systematic witness murders and organized disposal operations. His carefully maintained reputation as a skilled landscaper had failed to protect him from comprehensive investigation by agencies with expertise in trafficking-related crimes and human disposal. Special Agent Torres, there must be some serious misunderstanding about legitimate landscape maintenance work and the complex environmental challenges involved in estate groundskeeping that requires specialized chemical applications and soil management techniques, Miguel said frantically, while abandoning his plan to poison Detective Rodriguez and attempting to preserve some semblance of professional credibility despite the overwhelming evidence against his criminal activities. I am a certified landscape professional with 17 years of experience providing estate maintenance services for Beverly Hills' most discerning property owners. All of my landscaping work complies with established environmental standards and safety regulations designed to protect both clients and workers while ensuring optimal plant health and soil conditions. Detective Rodriguez looked absolutely stunned as she realized how close she had come to being murdered by the landscaper she had been investigating for human trafficking. Her major crimes investigation had not only exposed Miguel's systematic trafficking and disposal operation, but it also prevented her own death at the hands of a killer who had been using landscaping services as cover for systematic elimination of witnesses and disposal of trafficking victims. The comprehensive investigation that followed Miguel's arrest revealed the full scope of his criminal enterprise and the sophisticated methods he had developed to exploit landscaping expertise for systematic trafficking and murder. Forensic analysis of Miguel's landscaping operations revealed extensive evidence of his trafficking and disposal activities, including sophisticated burial sites throughout multiple estates, chemical dissolution equipment disguised as irrigation systems, and detailed records showing coordination between victim disposal and landscape maintenance schedules. His facilities contained weaponized gardening equipment, human trafficking documentation, and comprehensive maps showing disposal sites across Beverly Hills' most exclusive properties. The investigation also uncovered Miguel's connections to international trafficking organizations that had been using his landscaping access to dispose of murder victims and coordinate the movement of trafficked individuals throughout Southern California's wealthy residential communities, where privacy expectations provided perfect cover for criminal activities. Most disturbing was the discovery of Miguel's detailed knowledge of soil chemistry and decomposition processes, which he had used to develop increasingly sophisticated methods for human disposal, while maintaining perfect landscape appearances that concealed evidence of systematic murder and trafficking operations beneath beautiful garden installations. Miguel Santos was ultimately convicted of 15 counts of first-degree murder, systematic human trafficking, conspiracy to dispose of human remains, conspiracy to commit organized criminal enterprise activities, and numerous other charges related to his exploitation of landscaping services for criminal trafficking operations and elimination of potential witnesses. The conviction sent unprecedented shockwaves throughout Beverly Hills' landscaping and estate services community, prompting immediate reforms in landscaper licensing, estate security protocols, and human trafficking prevention measures designed to protect both wealthy clients and vulnerable workers from exploitation by trusted landscaping professionals involved in criminal activities. Several other landscapers and estate service providers were investigated for similar criminal activities, resulting in enhanced oversight of landscaping operations and new requirements for worker documentation, property inspection, and client protection measures that made it more difficult for criminals to exploit estate access for systematic trafficking and murder. Detective Rodriguez and Special Agent Torres received recognition for their collaborative investigation and became specialists in landscaping-based crime investigation, developing new techniques for identifying trafficking operations and protecting both clients and workers from exploitation by criminal landscaping professionals. Victoria Ashford and other surviving clients required extensive property excavation and soil remediation to overcome the trauma of learning that their trusted landscaper had been systematically using their estates for human disposal and trafficking while murdering clients who discovered his criminal activities. The landscaping industry implemented comprehensive new safety protocols designed to protect both clients and workers from exploitation by unethical landscaping providers. The case prompted comprehensive changes in landscaping industry regulation, including mandatory background checks and immigration documentation for all landscaping workers, enhanced oversight of estate access and chemical applications, ground-penetrating radar monitoring of suspicious soil conditions, and new reporting procedures for suspicious landscaping activities involving human safety or potential trafficking indicators. Miguel's conviction also led to increased cooperation between landscaping industry organizations and law enforcement agencies investigating human trafficking, with new protocols designed to identify landscaping services that might be exploiting their estate access for systematic criminal activities while eliminating potential witnesses. The landscaping and broader estate services industries implemented revolutionary new safety measures, including enhanced screening procedures for landscaping professionals, comprehensive worker protection programs, mandatory reporting of suspicious landscaping activities, and improved training for recognizing signs of human trafficking and disposal operations in landscaping settings. 5 years after Miguel's conviction and life imprisonment, Beverly Hills' landscaping community continued to implement safeguards designed to protect both clients and workers from landscaping professionals who might abuse their positions of trust and estate access for criminal purposes. The landscaper who had promised to create beautiful outdoor spaces and maintain perfect garden environments had instead used his horticultural expertise and estate access to commit systematic human trafficking and murder, while exploiting clients' trust and privacy expectations during landscape maintenance work. However, his crimes had been thoroughly exposed, and his victims had found justice through the dedication of investigators who refused to accept missing persons cases as mere worker disappearances. Miguel Santos's final harvest had yielded only the bitter fruit of permanent federal imprisonment, where he would serve multiple life sentences without possibility of parole, proving that even landscaping professionals who attempted to exploit their estate access for criminal gain could be identified, investigated, and brought to justice when dedicated law enforcement agencies worked together to protect innocent clients and workers from predatory landscaping providers. The gardener's final harvest had been permanently planted in the soil of justice, serving as a lasting reminder that those entrusted with beautifying our properties must never abuse that sacred responsibility, and that landscaping professionals who would exploit client trust and estate access for criminal gain will ultimately face the full consequences of their betrayal of horticultural integrity and human decency. Thank you very much for listening. Please let us know what you think of this story in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any other videos.